Welcome back everyone, it's time for Steve. One Piece being where it is, around 80% completed according to Oda, the community has been shooting out possible endings and theories, one which being the death of Monkey D. Luffy.
What did he say?
The death of Monkey D. Luffy.
3, 2, 1, go!
Know your place, trash.
Now hold up before you get angry at me for considering the death of our beloved Straw Hat. Just hear me out, okay? I know currently you lot are thinking that Luffy dying seems ludicrous, like Luffy has his plot armor maxed out. Our boy literally cannot die. Even at the start of our story, Luffy encounters a near-death situation where he should have been eaten by a Sea King and die. But he doesn't. Shanks was able to come right on time, saving his life. And if we are being real here, Luffy should have died multiple times over in his childhood, not just because of Garp's method of training. I'm referring to when he literally was captured by Porchimi and the Blue Jam Pirates. If it wasn't for Ace, Sabo, even Dadan, then I'm certain Luffy would have been dead. And let's not forget, if it wasn't for Daddy Dragon, Luffy would have been publicly executed by Buggy back at Logtown. And one of my favorite moments, when Luffy, after being passed out, Kuma threatened to end him, however was spared thanks to Zoro's loyalty. Luffy should have died in Impel Down, but again, Ivankov juiced him up, saving his life. Also, Ace literally gave his own life so Luffy can live on and achieve his dreams of becoming Pirate King. There are countless other times I haven't even mentioned where Luffy should have died but doesn't. Now obviously this is for the plot and also gives us some sort of reassurance, or I would say false security, that Luffy cannot die. There are also some far-fetched tin-capped theories suggesting that Luffy's Devil Fruit when awakened can not only stretch his body or the surroundings but also his lifespan. Seriously, I don't know what you lot are on.
Smoke weed.
But there are some plausible ones suggesting Law would use his Ope Ope no Mi, giving Luffy immortality, or at least save him from the perils of death. However, I'm not here for that. I'm here to explain why that won't happen, and why in fact Luffy will die at the end of One Piece. Okay, so let's start with one of the main points and arguments which first sparked the idea of Luffy dying at the end of One Piece. Upon coming up with the Gear's ability, especially Gear's second, it is pointed out by Rob Lucci in chapter 420 that Luffy is essentially just chipping away at his life whenever he activates Gear's second. This is because Gear's second increases the blood flow in Luffy's body, through which his muscles get an immense amount of nutrients very quickly, resulting in increased strength and speed. The only reason this works out for Luffy is due to his heart being made of rubber, same with his blood vessels. This allows it to pump really fast without bursting like it should and would do on a normal person. Considering the amount of times Luffy had activated this ability, his heart would have started to get worn out after every use. He's basically aging his heart and blood vessels the more this ability is used. However, a quick note is that after the time skip, these drawbacks of the gears aren't as present. This is likely from his constant use and Luffy strengthening his heart in the 2 years he was at Ruskaina. With that said, even though the negative effects of the gears being used recklessly was only limited to pre-time skip, the amount of times it was used cannot be understated, especially during Marineford and Impel Down. Luffy had to be constantly on Gear second as he just could not keep up with the top dogs with his base 4. This is also when Luffy's lifespan was shortened even more after getting hit by Magellan's poison attack. This poison was said to even destroy the whole of Impel Down and spread to any surface it touches, infecting everything in its path. Luffy, after literally being drowned in this poison, was at death's doors, but with the help of Mr. 2 and Ivankov's hormone treatment, he survived his devastating fate of certain death. But this survival came with some pretty crazy drawbacks, as this treatment lessened Luffy's lifespan by another 10 years. Not only this, but throughout the war at Marineford, Luffy kept asking Ivankov to inject him with more adrenaline, even though it did help Luffy get to Ace quicker and made his body move when it was so worn out. It also had a huge huge impact on his heart. Now remember guys, his heart already is being used to his limits when he goes gear second, so imagine the toll it took when being injected with adrenaline over and over again through the course of the war. And just doing some research on what adrenaline can do to the body, well, according to the National Institute for Health Research, even though adrenaline can cause an increase in likelihood that the heart will regain a normal rhythm as it directs blood flow to the heart, it can however cause constriction of small blood vessels, which can reduce blood flow to other organs, including the brain, and may lead to neurological damage. Also, an important point to note is that every time Luffy took a shot of adrenaline, Oda specifically highlighted how it was gonna shorten his life and harm his body even more. And we all know that when Oda stresses a plot point, as small as it may be, it always serves a purpose later down the story. The points I mentioned from Impel Down, Marineford and the effects of Gear Second could all be seen as death flags laid out to serve as a support for Luffy's death in the future. Now, although with all that said, the argument of Luffy's lifespan being sapped away will be the cause of his death doesn't really hold too strongly when we do all the maths. In the same volume 54, when Luffy gets poisoned, leading to his treatment and deduction of lifespan, Oda either coincidentally or purposely added his thoughts on the lifespan of humans, stating that in his words, "I hear that humans are supposed to be able to live until the age of 140. Then from there on, it's said that their lives get shorter as they put more stress onto their bodies. Mangakas always have too much pressure in their lives, so I'll probably only get to live up to the age of 135. Bummed. Life is so short." Now, although he did not directly indicate that his idea for human lifespan apply in the world of One Piece, in the SBS for volume 56, Oda was asked about this in regards to one of his One Piece character, in specific, Dr. Kureha. Oda responded back that Kureha is 139 years of age pre-time skip, and that even if you consider 140 being the max for a normal person, she is actually a superhuman as she can go beyond other people. This in itself gives us the idea that Oda believes that the average age for the normal human in One Piece could be 140, but Dr. Kureha, being who she is, surpasses that. In fact, she is the oldest human known in the One Piece world, coming in at 141 years of age after the time skip, which is almost twice the age of Rayleigh. Oda even states that she is going strong for her age, most likely due to her knowledge in medical science. Oh, and just in case anyone calls me out, I'm referring to the oldest known human. We don't really know about Imusama, only Goda knows about this immortality theory if it's correct or not. Also, I know there's creatures such as Zunisha and other living beings. Let's not forget one of the oldest characters in all of One Piece is actually Yarul the Giant. It's not really known if he's still alive, but 63 years ago, during Big Mom's flashback, he was 345 years of age. And with that said, humans are said to live around a third of the giant's lifespan, which according to this would make the average age of a human in One Piece approximately over 100 years. And if according to Oda, if stress is a declining factor apart from having stress on his body, Luffy could be seen as one of the most stress-free people with the way he thinks. Let's also not forget Luffy has Dr. Tony Chopper, who more than likely will be able to cure any illness and physical constraints. Assuming Luffy's average lifespan is at least, let's say, 120 years, let's do some calculations. Now, just a disclaimer, I know a better starting point should have been 140 years, but I'm trying to be more realistic. Luffy's out and about, he isn't really caring about his diet, and most importantly, he is not Dr. Kureha, so we can't just use her age as an arbitrary starting point. Okay, with that in mind, let's do some deduction. The only time we were told that Ivankov's special hormone therapy would deduct lifespans was when she first used her Emporio healing hormone to rid Luffy of his poisoning. This was in exchange for 10 years of Luffy's life. During the Marineford War, when Ivankov used the Emporio tension hormone, it was never said anywhere it would take years off Luffy's lifespan. This might have had negative effects to his heart, but you can't assume there is a specific trade-off. Most importantly, this move is less OP than Emporio healing, so we can assume that the trade-off isn't 10 years, probably a bit less, but for the sake of argument, let's assume the adrenaline and the impact on Luffy's heart deducted, another 10 years. This would mean that if Luffy's lifespan before this treatment was 120 years, after it should be around 100 years. And if you want to push this even further, further with assumption, let's say that Luffy's using gear second took another 10 years, pre-time skip due to his body not accustomed to the sudden change, or that his heart is weakened. This would still leave Luffy with 90 years of life, which is older than his grandfather Garp. So going by the maths and what we know, Luffy's death due to his lifespan being deducted doesn't hold a lot of weight. So at this point, you're probably scratching your heads thinking, wait a minute, wasn't ABD going to explain why Luffy will die? Instead, he just literally debunked the whole idea. But listen guys, not really. Luffy's death is not dependent on those factors. Even though it still might be a foreshadowing, it's not necessarily the cause of his death. Rather, it's likely Luffy will die of a similar cause to Roger. The reasoning for this is Luffy's constant parallel with Roger himself. We all know that Oda loves paralleling themes throughout his story, contrasting arcs, countries to characters themselves. Parallels are everywhere in One Piece, where things that happen in one arc parallel another. Alabasta parallel being Dressrosa, where there is a kingdom to be saved ruled by an evil unjust dictator, scheming and making the people suffer. Rescuing the princess in Vivi, Viola and Rebecca. Basically, Dressrosa is a result of Alabasta if Crocodile had succeeded. The Straw Hats didn't let this tyrannical rule begin in Alabasta. A parallel to them was stopping the rule of Doflamingo, which was already established. Totally Not Marked did a fantastic video covering the importance of parallel between One Piece, so make sure you guys check him out. But knowing all of this, it's likely that the story of One Piece will go full circle, where just like Roger died at the end of his journey, Luffy will also come to the same fate, but Luffy will have finished the will of Roger and Joy Boy, to which Roger himself was too soon for. Similarly, the events of Logtown for Roger parallels Luffy's journey. Time and time again, Luffy is compared to him or seen in the same light. And what happened to Roger in the end? Well, of course he died. These similarities in Roger and Luffy's journey are seen from the beginning. Both of their first crewmates were swordsmen who loved to drink, Rayleigh and Zoro. Both also are the second strongest in the respective crew and also the wise captains. In episode 48, Luffy visits a bar where he finds an old man who informs Luffy Roger's time as a young man. Luffy then goes to share his own aspiration to become Pirate King. After hearing this, the old man is seen shocked, feeling as though he can literally see young Roger sitting in the place of Luffy. Luffy, just like Roger, steals the imprint of Big Mom's poneglyph, say the same lines, "I don't want to conquer anything to be Pirate King," meaning to be the freest person on the sea. So if this pattern in their journey follows through to the end of One Piece, then Luffy will also die with a smile on his face after finding the One Piece. And there is actually some good evidence to suggest this, with the main one being Logtown. Now Logtown is known as the town of beginnings and endings. This is where Roger was born and eventually died. It's literally in the name Logtown, the town of prologues and epilogues. So if Luffy's story started in Logtown, his real journey after gathering his crew in East Blue, then the logical end to this journey would be in Logtown, the epilogue to his story, smiling just like Roger. However, in Roger's case, his epilogue ignited the flames of the Great Pirate Era to go on a quest to find the One Piece, as it was not his time yet. But in Luffy's case, his death in Logtown will be that he found the One Piece and finished what Roger couldn't. And even though Luffy might have lived in the greatest pirate era, I believe he will ignite a new era of free travelers, not to be an enemy of the new world government which I believe will be formed, but simply be free to explore to their heart content. I also believe that Makimo's child will be witnessing Luffy's death and we will see him as a legend igniting new ideals for the future. When we come back to the question on why would Luffy die, and if he has an incurable disease or illness, why wouldn't Law save him, or can't Chopper find a solution? Well, one theory is that Luffy will use the ancient weapons to achieve One Piece. The use of these weapons might be the cause of his death. The reason why Luffy wouldn't accept Law to save him or give him eternal life is because Luffy wouldn't want to live forever. His character is that of freedom. Not knowing what comes after death to Luffy is an adventure in itself. And once he clocks the worlds and moons, the most logical thing that Luffy will want to do is see what comes next. Now, this is just an anime theory. Let me know what you guys think about this. Will Luffy die? Do you want him to die? I don't know, but let's be real, everyone will die at the end of the day.
I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it.
But I hope I broke down everything about this and why it's discussed amongst the community. If you guys want any other specific videos for me to cover, then make sure to let me know in the comment section down below. With that guys, subscribe, ding that notification bell, and till then, I'll catch you lot next time.